Shalom Aleichem. We haven't spoken in a while. It was Pesach, so I wanted to catch up. I hope Yom Tov treated all of you well, and that despite all the problems vis-a-vis COVID, etc., you had a wonderful Yom Tov, a wondrous Yom Tov, and I wünsche every one of you a Git Zimmer, a Gesinnte Zimmer. We should all be able to move forward and come back to some semblance of the normalcy, whatever that might mean for the future. So I want to bring up a subject that we spoke about. I wrote about it 2 years ago. Tragically, in the intervening time, the Rebbetzin Shulim was nifta, and then we had COVID, and everything was locked down, so that the project that I discussed then was put on the back burner. But now it's time to reopen the discussion. Reopen the discussion and venture forward with a new project that will be more needed now than ever before. Allow me to explain. I wrote then a few years ago that I see it in the faces. The faces that have that sparkle in the eyes that wasn't there before. I've spoken and written about how vital it is for us as a community to offer well-trained mentors to learn with struggling youngsters at a very young age, before they become embittered and become prime targets for that dark place that we often call off the derech. With a positive mentor, struggling kids can create a bond with a caring friend who has his interests foremost in mind, without any ulterior motive. Just having a listening ear is often enough to keep a holy Yiddish neshama on the path of positive Torah adherence. In my many years of both mentoring and training others to be mentors, I've been blessed to often witness that special ignition in the eyes of youngsters who have been living previously in a gray world of upset and misunderstanding. Now, I wrote about this before COVID. As we leave COVID, hopefully, we're going to have to face problems that were unbeknownst. It just wasn't there beforehand. Whatever problems we had before may be doubled or even, who knows, even more. All the time that the boys and girls were sitting at home and in lockdown without the ability to play with friends, to create relationships. We have to do something for them. And now more than ever, we have to create a space. We are now, Baruch Hashem, witnessing many mentoring programs coming alive. And each one should be blessed with fulsome community support. One result of all this flowering growth is the glaring fact that we have as yet not created a purpose-built space for this mentoring. Often we see shuls being used, or perhaps vacant classrooms. However, in truth, that's not always conducive for a proper mentoring experience. Shuls have become, at the drop of a hat, very busy, and precious time is given for one-to-one session can evaporate when a minyan starts to form. Disused spaces in schools also come with problems, not least of which is that not every child wants to be judged by their friends and their parents of their friends as being needy or having to have special help. No, we need purpose-built facilities that creates a safe ambiance, a space for the most vulnerable of our children and give support and validation to the mentors involved. Now, I'm not looking to create new organizations. There are wonderful organizations working with different mentors and going and reaching out. But we need in every community, I speak from Manchester, but we need in London, we need wherever there's a large group of children, we need a space for them. Supervised, yes, but also understanding of what the needs are for vulnerable kids. Since we have been blessed in my basement, we had our shtibel, and I allowed for programs to go on to deal individual children to have access to the building with mentors. And we set up safety, there's CCTV, because that's what we have to do to promise, to show and to know that the safety is involved. However, I quickly realized that it's a stopgap answer to a growing problem. And it's helpful, but it's not optimum. While brainstorming with some of our chevra, we came up with a plan to create just such a space. With a working title, we called it The Shed. and we plan to build just that, a location devoted to susceptible children, one with ample space for informal activities, plus a conducive environment for one-to-one learning. All of this will be created mindfully for the safety of everyone involved. And the shed will be independent, yet under watchful eye of both professionals and das Torah. Organizations who are in the mentoring world will be invited to utilize these facilities and will be able to do so with the knowledge that their young charges will be enjoying a facility totally devoted to the unique needs of mentoring education. Parshas Shemini lists the many laws, the dinim, concerning the kashrus of creatures, both on land and on sea and in the air. One bird in particular is cause for much discussion amongst Chazal, the chasida. It's a bird that seems to be part of the stork family, and it's forbidden to be eaten. Fine. Rashi asks, why does this bird have a name that literally means the kind one, chasida? And he explains because it does kindness with its companions by sharing its food. So this seems a bit at odds with what the Ramban tells us as to why it's forbidden to eat unkosher creatures. It's because in life they show ruthlessness and they're violent and they have that awkward, that kind of behavior. And Hashem doesn't want us to ingest such tendencies into our being. You are what you eat. If that's the case, why is this seemingly kind bird not kosher? And the answer is that yes, it does kindness, but only to its own kind. It has no regard to any other creatures. This, says the Rebbe, is not kindness born out of altruism, but just a means of survival amongst its own. Now we have so many charities that we have to give to, especially again Nachamul, especially in COVID. Klal Yisrael is growing, and with this growth comes ever more need for projects that deserve support. And often we tend to look only to our own group, our particular school, our particular shtibah, our chassidus, our yeshiva. But this aspect, this shed, is for everyone. Any child in need will find room within its walls. And I have people calling me every other day. It will be open as a truly caring facility for the entire community, not merely for one or another kehillah. So let's unite in sharing in the building of this unique space for our kids. Let's be partners in bringing that special glow back into their eyes. The wondrous spark of love that every Yiddish neshama deserves to have. In the future, we'll set up a campaign. They do these things today on the emails. And I'll give out, we'll speak about the particulars. I just want to put out to you how I'm thinking and what our goals are. The Irish is a helping. After all the tzores that we've been through, may we see hope. May we see nachas. May we see gesund. And let us bring fire and warmth of Yiddishkeit to every single Yiddish neshama. Kol Tov.